Alright, so episode 5 of the Thanksgiving break Godzilla reviews. I think that's what I call it. I don't know. I don't know. My god, I'm sorry about that. Anyways, episode 5 of my Thanksgiving break Godzilla reviews. Today I am doing Godzilla King of the Monsters because that is the third Godzilla movie I saw in theaters. Technically going to be one of the last for now, I guess. That's besides the point. Anyways, so major spoilers for the movie, if you can tell already by all these reviews, which I should probably start putting a warning for later on. But yeah, major spoilers for Godzilla King of the Monsters coming up. Anyways, the movie starts off with a flashback from 2014. We see the Halo jump from another perspective. Uh, um, if I was so, his name was Andrew Russell. That is basically the. I just poured coins out from my wallet. I'm sorry. Okay, so Andrew Russell. He is the youngest son of the main cast, I guess. Not really the main cast. He's the youngest son of Andrew Russell and Emma Russell. They also have the daughter Madison Russell, but that's Erin Madison and Emma are like the main characters of the story. Um, and anyways, Andrew is basically dead, and so it leads to a huge divorce between Mark and Emma, which it's kind of just like told, but not really like shown. I mean, then again, you don't really need to show us like a divorce happening in order for us to know. And then it cuts to Emma, crying in her bed because that's what parents do when their kids are dead. It sounds so messed up. And then Emma's like on her computer or on her laptop looking at her emails. She's like, "Dad's been emailing me again." And then Mothra wakes up, and we're like, "Oh shit! Wait, Mothra's here!" And it turns out they're in China, on Outpost 61, which is a nice reference to Mothra. Might I add? um, but yeah, so then they watch Mothra wake up, and then this terrorist organization comes in and they kill everyone there. And before Mothra, or yeah, and they also use this thing called the Orca, which sends out like signal waves that can calm or piss off a Titan, which is what they call the monsters in this movie, which is why they're there. And yeah. Anyways, then we cut to Mark in, if I believe so, it's Colorado, looking at wolves somehow, because I'm pretty sure all the wolves in Colorado were hunted and killed. What do I mean? The same fucking thing. Hunted and killed. Um, so yeah, I don't know how he's doing that, but I guess that happened. I'm sorry. And then you know, actually no. Then we cut to so beforehand we see something about Sarazawa and Dr. Graham from the first movie with Admiral Stentz uh, at a Congress meeting talking about how monarchs should be under military jurisdiction. And anyways, then they're like, "Oh, the Titans returned because of us. It was our nuclear tests that awoke Godzilla, and strip mining which awoke the Mutos." And then they get a call that Mothra's containment facility was attacked by terrorists, and so they got Mark because his wife and daughter were captured, obviously, or his ex-wife and his daughter were captured. Um, Okay, and then they're like, I think and then they take Mark to Outpost 54, which is a nice reference to the original Godzilla. Check out the review in the playlist that I made, which I'm probably gonna link later. Um, shameless, shameless plugs. Once again, and or then afterwards, they're like, "Oh, we shouldn't," because they're about to launch like a search party at Mothra's base, and they're like, I think it's just a wild goose chase, because why would they just stay for this one, and when they have like an entire selection of their little shop of horrors, um, with the orca. And so afterwards they see that, and then afterwards it cuts to Emma with the terrorist leader Jonah Allen and Madison, and they end up getting to Outpost 32 in Antarctica, which holds King Ghidorah, but they call him Monster Zero, which is another really cool ass reference. By the way, this movie is like littered with like references to the original Showa series. Like Godzilla's original roars are used. Mothra's original roars are used as well. But that's besides the point. Anyways, I need to stop saying I did it again. So anyways, then they go to Antarctica and they start setting charges to release King Ghidorah. And then oh my god. Okay, so then they're like, oh, we gotta go. So then the Argo jet, which is like the main jet of this movie, which is a reference to Jason and the Argonauts, which if you haven't read it, then you're not missing out on much. But that's besides the point. Then they launch an attack to Antarctica after Godzilla shows up, because Godzilla shows up and he's agitated, and he's like, his heart rate is beating like really high, or really his heart rate is going up, and his breathing is accelerated, and a bunch of other shit. Okay. And so then they're like, oh, show them that we're not a threat, so that happens. Then there's like a miniature jump scare about like Godzilla doing an intimidation display. And then they're like, oh, he's going to Antarctica. And so they're like, wait, what's in Antarctica? And so then we cut to Antarctica. But yeah, so then they launch an attack, the G team, and they get ambushed, and they're like, hold your fire, we have friendlies over here, and it's because Emma and Madison are there. Sorry about that, my headset was about to shut off because it just says that. Okay, so then we cut to Mark grabbing a pistol and getting down to where King Ghidorah is like sleeping, basically. So that happens, and then he shoots somebody, and then Emma grabs the detonation device and blows up King Ghidorah's ice block where he's sleeping. And anyways, Mark tries to go after them, but then he sees that there's a bunch of soldiers down there, so he stops the elevator to get them back. So they get out of there, and then King Ghidorah wakes up because they use the orca to wake up King Ghidorah. And so after that happens, Godzilla shows up, and it's like one of the coolest fight scenes ever. You hear like Godzilla's original roars, and then big spoiler here, but when Godzilla shows up, like the plane, or the Monarch helicopter that they use, it like falls into this ice crevice, and Dr. Graham helps get Mark out of there because like one of the ceiling panels fell on him. And in the theater, I was like, you know what? She's gonna fucking die. And I didn't know how exactly. I thought she was gonna get stuck in like the ice crevice or something like that, and like fall down to her death. No, she gets fucking eaten, dude. It's like, why? Why would you give her such a horrible death? And I was like, no, dude. Oh my god. So yeah, that basically gave Serizawa a reason to kill himself later. Oh my god, that sounds so messed up now that I'm saying that, but it's the truth. Anyways, then Godzilla and Ghidorah fight some more, and it's like, so Godzilla uses his atomic breath, misses, and then Ghidorah uses his graviton beams and knocks Godzilla into where Ghidorah was first sleeping, and you hear Godzilla's old Showa roars, and like you hear the 1954 roar. You also hear Ghidorah's like original roar, like kind of like, Oh my god. You kind of hear like an altered form of it. And by the way, I gotta say, Ghidorah's roar is like my favorite part of like any altercations with the monsters in this movie, because like Ghidorah's new roar is fucking awesome. But anyways, then Mark gets then the Argo jet shows up and starts shooting King Ghidorah with like missiles and shit, and one of the missiles like strays off and hits near Mark, and he flies into a shipping container, somehow surviving. I don't know how. I really don't. But he survived, and it didn't make any sense, but oh well. And then Mark wakes up after having another flashback. Wait, did he have another flash? No, no, no. That was a deleted scene. No, no. Mark did have a flashback, and then it was like an extended flashback for the deleted scenes. Um, yeah. So then everyone's like, "Oh, wait, Emma didn't pull the trigger. She couldn't have. Maybe they were using Madison as bait." And Mark is like, "No, I saw her. She did it. She released King Ghidorah, or Monster Zero as they call him." And so they say, well, that can't be. And then for some reason she comes onto the TVs in the Argo jet and gives this huge like environmental speech. And my friend told me when he was watching this movie with his parents, his mom rolled his eyes, or his mom rolled her eyes, and said, "It's one of those movies." And I like the environmentalist point of view that they went for, but like it seems really forced at times, and I don't like it. So anyways, that's the thing. But yeah. Anyways, afterwards, they released Rodan, and it's easily the funniest scene when some guy gets like thrown away from Rodan's like aftershock, I guess you could call it. Holy shit, that was so funny! Like in the theater, my brother and I could not stop laughing. And if you know, you know. But yeah, then they're like, "Oh, you got a catchy name for this one?" And they're like, "Rodan, the fire demon." And Rodan's outpost name is Outpost 56 because that's the year that the original Rodan came out, and that was a cool Easter egg. I need to stop saying but yes, that's where that was the first Rodan movie. That's the only Rodan movie actually, technically, or solo Rodan movie, I should say. Then they're like, "Oh, you guys remember that tropical storm we lost King Ghidorah in? Because after King Ghidorah left the fight from Godzilla, against Godzilla in Antarctica, he got lost in a tropical storm." They're like, "Yeah, it just moved." And they're like, "That's not possible." And they're like, well, it is. And so they find that King Ghidorah is actually actually controlling the storm. So that's cool. And then Mark's like, "Listen, Monster Zero, he's listening to big words cries. He's either here for food, a fight, or something more intimate." Because they couldn't say fuck more than one time to keep a PG-13 rating. But they do say it when King Ghidorah shows up, and it's the only time you hear the word fuck in a Godzilla movie. Yeah, that was a fun fact that no one needed to know. But yes, and then they try to lead Rodan away towards Monster Zero so they can fight, which is like one of the stupidest but best moves that you could possibly think of. So Rodan looks like a badass, and I mean they used a bunch of shots from the trailer, so we already knew what was gonna happen. And there is a scene where, like, when Rodan's about to do a spin move, he like looks at the jet next to him and he fucking smiles. Who wanted to see Rodan smile? And who thought that Rodan smiling was like the most evil thing you could do? And then he spins. Oh, and by the way, there's a reference to the giant claw in this when if you've seen the giant claw, there's a scene where someone like jumps out of like one of the planes, and then the giant claw eats him after his parachute deploys, and someone does the exact same thing, and it was like the funniest shit. So I'm glad that Mike Doherty paid homage to that out of all things. And what else? What else? Okay, so then Rodan senses that Ghidorah's there, and he backs off. Then Rodan and Ghidorah fight for like a minute, and the comic relief of the movie, which I really can't stand because he's not funny. He's really not funny. I mean, like, there's a few things hidden throughout there, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work in a Godzilla movie. You can't have comic relief in a Godzilla movie, in my opinion, and just make me want to enjoy it. Is what I'm trying to say. That's besides the point. Anyways, he says, Jesus, they're killing each other, even though literally it doesn't even look like they're killing each other. It just looks like Rodan and Ghidorah are like spinning midair, which is kind of like what eagles do, I guess. But that's a topic for another discussion. Anyways, then Ghidorah literally grabs Rodan by his wings and crucifies him. He basically crucified Rodan. And then Rodan falls into the ocean, and then they're like, "Oh wait, Osprey won. We've got kids on board." And so Mark like decides to deploy one of the Ospreys out to like break the opening thing for the Osprey to come in. And it works. But then Ghidorah follows them, and then Godzilla shows up. He rips off Ghidorah's dumb head, which we've dubbed Kevin. And then afterwards, Ghidorah, Admiral Stenz calls the Argo, and he says, "We need you to remove your troops immediately because we've been developing a prototype weapon called the Oxygen Destroyer." And it looks exactly like the Oxygen Destroyer from the first movie, and it's amazing. So the Oxygen Destroyer blows up, and it's this green nuke, and it's obviously a symbol for the nuclear explosions of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which Dr. Serizawa was rooted in. So that's cool. And then, surprise, Ghidorah is still alive, and he does his alpha call after regrowing his head. And they're like, he breaks all the laws of the natural order, and they're like, maybe that's because he's not from the natural order. And they pull up all this research about Ghidorah, saying that they call him Ghidorah, the one who is many. They say he fell from the stars, and so they're like, wait, this thing's a fucking alien? So yeah, Ghidorah's an alien, and it's so cool how they kept that. And I thought, you know what? There's no other way they could have done it. Ghidorah is an alien, and that was easily the coolest part of the movie. and then all the monsters awake, and you see like Behemoth and Scylla and Methuselah. And one thing I never understood about people in the Godzilla community is why they went crazy over all these titans that we only saw like twice in a movie and didn't have anything to do. It's like, oh my god, it's Behemoth, it's Scylla, oh, it's Methuselah. For anyone who's watching this that doesn't know anything about Godzilla, you're probably not going to get this, but basically there are like 3 monsters in the movie that only have like 2 minutes of screen time at least. And it's really funny because everyone went apeshit over it. Everyone went apeshit over them, and it was like the funniest thing to me. But that's also besides the point. Anyways, they send a submarine down, so Mothra shows up after she evolves into her final form. Which, by the way, I should also mention, Mothra has this bioluminescent ability where, like, if she's feeling calm, she'll like go into a blue bioluminescence, but when she's angry, she'll go into a red bioluminescence, which was a nice way of paying homage to like Rainbow Mothra, as well as regular Mothra's regular colors, and I thought that was a nice idea. So I also enjoy that. Anyways, we also see Dr. Brooks from the first movie, or from King Kong, or oh my god, Kong Skull Island, that is where we see him from. And we also get introduced to the fact that there's Mothra twins, and that they have a psychic connection, and then they send a submarine down to the Hollow Earth after Mothra shows up, and they're like, wait, Godzilla's communicating with her, he's still alive, yay. And so they send a submarine down to the Hollow Earth. They like discover a bunch of things. And then Oh my god, I need to yawn. My apologies for that. Um, so yeah, they send a submarine down to the Hollow Earth. They revive Godzilla. Serizawa kills himself in the process because their missile systems were damaged. Um, then afterwards, they get all sad and they're like, let's make him proud. Then Godzilla shows up and his redesign is amazing. By the way, fun fact, the first SH Monster Arts figure that I got is the 2019 Godzilla. This is the only SH Monster Arts figure that I have. The only thing related to that would be my Ultra Act Ultraman Nexus. So enjoy that fun fact, I guess. Yeah. What else? Oh my god. I mean, I know. So another something I should mention, but I'll mention later, is that Godzilla's original theme plays as well as Mothra's original theme. And when Godzilla first shows up, you hear it. Then his theme plays when Godzilla gets revived, basically, and it's amazing. Like honestly, 10 out of 10 scores. I also love King Ghidorah's theme and Rodan's theme. All the character themes are awesome. So then Godzilla goes to Boston because that's where King Ghidorah is, and that's also where Rodan is, and so we see, O'Shea Jackson. Yeah, O'Shea Jackson's character. I was thinking T.J. Storm for some reason. I guess I got the two. God, I sound racist now. I was trying to think of his name, and I don't know why, but T.J. Storm came to mind first. I guess it's because, like, okay, so, like, the reason why I need to explain this now. The reason why is because T.J. Storm was, like, on my Twitter feed recently, and I couldn't really think of, like, O'Shea Jackson, but now I can now. Oh, my God. That's so embarrassing. Okay. So, yes, O'Shea Jackson's character starts shooting at Rodan, and they're like, we're bingo on fuel and ammo. And it's I don't know, it's like a nice scene, I guess, to see that. And since O'Shea Jackson's like a really huge Godzilla fan, I wonder how he feels knowing that he shot at Rodan. I'll have to ask him that if I ever meet him. Or maybe someone here who's watching this can ask it for him. But that's besides the point. Anyways, then Godzilla shows up in Boston after a scene very similar to Godzilla's entrance scene in Terror of Mechagodzilla, which I enjoyed. Then you hear Godzilla's theme play, and the Battle of Boston. Not much to say that hasn't already been said. Great scene, fights amazing, music's amazing. Although, Burning Godzilla shows up. Ghidorah's death is amazing. Godzilla becomes the king of the monsters, and then end credit scene. Ghidorah is basically still alive, so that's nice. Yeah. But do I recommend this movie? Yes, I do recommend this movie, especially if you're a hardcore fan and you haven't seen it already somehow. But if you're just like a casual person and want to watch a Godzilla movie, I'd say watch 2014 first and then watch this movie because then you'll be all caught up. Yeah. Other than that, I would give this movie a 7 out of 10 because there's still a lot of problems with this movie that I have. Specifically with the characters. Now, that is something that I could rant on for a long time, but let me just tell you, it doesn't really feel like there's any character development in this movie, but at the same... Well, okay, I shouldn't say that. I should say that the characters kind of feel very bland, but at the same time, you still end up caring for them in the end. Like, Godzilla and Mark Russell, Mark comes to terms with the fact that Godzilla, he's just a force of nature and there's nothing you can do to stop him. Jonah Allen, the terrorist guy, he conforms to the ways of Ghidorah basically at the end, much like Filmento said. Anyways, my pros for this movie: music's awesome, CG's awesome, fights are awesome. Characters are cool, nice throwbacks, great references, deeply rooted in franchise history, and then the ending of the credits where it says it's dedicated to Haruo Nakajima was awesome. And that also the fact that like they mention Kong a lot in this movie and like they reference him kind of like shows the world building and stuff, which I mean, even though it's probably forced onto Mike Doherty, I'm pretty sure like the ways he implemented it was awesome. But the cons, Cons, I would say, is that some of the characters are really bland. Other characters just straight up unlikable, like Madison Russell and Emma Russell. Then again, you're not really supposed to like him, I guess, But then again, like with Madison, like you don't really like her throughout the movie, I guess, unless you're a Stranger Things fan. Ooh, I just pissed off a lot of people. um, but yeah. Um, Cons also would be the fact that Rodan and Mothra feel like they're kind of just like shoved into the movie. Rodan is literally Ghidorah's bitch in this movie, and it really shows. And it sucks to say that because I love Rodan. In fact, I even have the NECA figure for Rodan's statue. You can hear the sound of his wings right now. And, yeah, Mothra, I mean, cool addition, so is Rodan. It was nice to see them come back to the big screen, and it was nice to see them on the big screen for, like, the first time in my life. Other than that, though, great movie. I really do recommend it. It's a fun movie to watch on, like, a Saturday night if you're bored with your friends, if you just want to, like, have some fun, or you just want to, like, enjoy yourself. But yeah, stay tuned for tomorrow. And by the way, hold up. I apologize, I needed to tell my brother something. But I was going to mention today is actually the 54th anniversary for Gamera. And I wanted to do a mini review on Gamera Guardian of the Universe, but I don't really have time. So I'll do that tomorrow along with my review. And I might as well say what I'm going to be reviewing tomorrow and give you guys something to look forward to. So let me just go to my reviews. Tomorrow I am doing one of the penultimate Godzilla movies, and easily one of the coolest ones. In fact, at the end of King of the Monsters, you can probably tell which one it is, but it's a design choice to say the least. And one of Godzilla's, one of like the best Godzilla movies, and was originally supposed to be the final Godzilla movie. But then 1998 happened, and then, yeah. You can probably tell what I'm talking about. So, I'll see you guys around. Nexus, out.